Hi, Autumn. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
You and I have not talked in person until today. So, this is really a lot of fun. We've been back and forth on social media and emails and all that. So, it's really exciting to do this in person. And so, before we get much further, I really want to thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy, busy young woman, but it's so exciting to be able to talk to you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this bio that you provided, and it is so interesting. It's such a neat, neat story. So let me read this. So Autumn Clifford is the founder of She's an Asset, a woman's self-protection company focused on empowering women through situational awareness training. Her teachings are unique as she applies her law enforcement, martial arts, and education background. Autumn holds a master's degree in criminal justice, specializing in public administration, and is an adjunct college professor instructing criminal justice and hosts the popular podcast show, She's an Asset. Now, that would be a great intro right there, but there's more. So, at the young age of 5, Autumn was already learning the ins and outs of mixed martial arts. And by the age of 12, Autumn got her first taste into the world of teaching and coaching, where she became one of the youngest instructors at her martial arts dojo, teaching ages ranging from 4 to 60. You went on to become a captain of your sports karate team, achieving accolades such as a 3-time Maine State Grand Champion, placing second in New England, as well as winning several national titles. Autumn's experience spans various disciplines from Shotokan, karate to Muay Thai, kickboxing, underpinning her successful self-protection programs. At the age of, oh, and you know what? I used to do kickboxing, and that's rough. That's rough. I remember those deep, deep hip pains.
Yeah, girl, I could tell you stories.
At the age of 20, Autumn started a career in law enforcement. Her experience is comprised of working for a sheriff's department, providing security to judges and court personnel, as well as full-time patrol work for a few city police departments. You are also certified through the Maine Police Academy as an instructor and becoming certified in defensive tactics. Autumn was one of the first members to be part of Maine's Federal Human Trafficking Task Force in conjunction with Homeland Security investigations. And thank you for doing that work. Unfortunately, after just 6.5 years on the force, you suffered a career-ending back injury, which left you couch-ridden, depressed, and as you, Autumn describes it, at her rock bottom. During this time, Autumn decided to transfer her skills to life coaching, utilizing your training, education, and experience to help others break through roadblocks in their lives. Autumn remains active in law enforcement as a part-time police officer working in a community policing position. Over the last 8 years, Autumn has built a professional coaching practice, coaching hundreds of women and professionals to find their authentic selves, tap into their own unique gifts and abilities, and work with those gifts, resulting in major breakthroughs. Autumn continues to reach out to others through her world-renowned podcast, as well as her in-person seminars. Autumn is a sought-after, dynamic, and engaging speaker with experience speaking nationwide. Autumn has worked as a coach for retired Navy SEAL Jason Redman's Overcoming Army and is a speaker on his Eagle Rise Speakers Network. So like I said, that is an awesome, awesome introduction. Thank you for providing that. Is there anything else you would like the ladies out there to know about you?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for taking the time to read that. It's a little long. You know, here's what I would like to talk about is my story is really one of getting kicked down over and over and over again. And but yet I still find a way to get back up. But I also want to not be as cliche as that. I want every woman to know is it's not that easy. Social media makes it sound like it's easy and like we make all these memes and I'm one of them. I really want to inspire and motivate women, but the thing is that when you're getting kicked down and when you are down and you're getting kicked while you are down, it is excruciating. And that is not a new theme in my life, but what I like to pass along is that you don't have to let that define you, and that you can continue to rise and impact and serve, and that you can use those situations as learning lessons.
Yes. It's funny. I am on staff at a couple places that we really resilience, to be resilient, to build resiliency into your life. And you see these people who go, well, I get knocked down and I just keep getting back up. I'm like, why are you in the same place to get knocked down again and again and again? Move, pivot, rise, go down, move. I mean, just do something. Now, like you said, we keep getting knocked down. Like you and I were talking earlier, I've got some health things, right? It feels like a kick in the gut every time.
Mhm.
But I'm deciding how I want to handle it. I'm surrounding myself with people who will be supportive. I am transparent about what I'm comfortable being transparent about. And I am honestly accepting the positive energy from others who are willing to offer it. And the
Mhm.
negative shit, I don't have any time for that.
That's it.
I don't have any time.
100%. Mhm. Yeah, the negativity, that's real, and I think, especially for any, female first responders, um, that's really huge. Who we surround ourselves with, and it is, bigger than I ever cared to admit. I'll be honest. That's been a topic that has been showing up in my life, very, prominently recently, and I am gonna be honest with you, I am one stubborn son of a gun, and I've been like, "Oh, no, no, like, I'm good. Nobody influences me, like, I'm good." And then I will be around people who are negative. That could be my family, that could be friends, that could be, coworkers. But, I'm around negativity, and then I go and I'm around people who are not, and they're inspiring. And I will tell you, there is such a difference in the energy, and it really makes a difference, Kimberly, as to how I show up, whether
Mhm.
I'm around negativity or whether I'm around positivity.
It's a lot of people don't believe in energy. They think
Mm,
it's woohoo, new wave, or whatever like that. And I've always been considered like a hippie. I have the essential oil business.
mhm,
I've done some natural healing. But there's some realness to it. You can
mhm,
feel the energy, and when you accept scientifically that we are all energy, everything is an energetic being, it starts to make more sense. And I could go into so much of this. There are scientists who have done graphs and charts of energy around people, around words, and like as much as I'm into energy, I didn't even know until recently that music is on the scale is an energy scale. It's like, oh, that's
mhm,
brilliant, that's
mhm,
brilliant. And they
mhm,
knew that way back in the day. I mean, like way back in the day, they knew that before they could even measure it. They knew that people got a certain feeling from listening to certain sounds.
mhm.
And there are times when I'm around people that are negative because the people matter to me. But I really have to make sure I protect myself. And there are some people that, I mean, are very important to me, very important people. They matter in my life. I want them in my life, but I have to know how to protect myself from it. And I have to make sure that, if when we talk, I listen to them, I respect what they have to say, but I have to see where does that fit into my life and where does it fit into my plans. So
You
it
know,
isn't that what they say doesn't matter. It's just it doesn't fit what I need.
it's funny because you said something and you said I need to be able to protect my energy. I see I see a chiropractor. So I suffered a career-ending back injury, and that's what took me out of full-time law enforcement. And I'm still in therapy I was in therapy 5 days a week. I'm not as much 5 days a week anymore, thank goodness. But I'm still so I go see this chiropractor, and he's very unconventional, and he does muscle testing. So there's none of this like protocols and what you should. He will sit with you, and he muscle test your whole body to figure out, okay, this is what your body actually needs. And I was having a conversation with him last week about, I'm like, how do you protect your energy? Because you're in everybody's stuff. And he said, this is interesting. And I haven't looked up the information, but he said that you could take purple string and
Mhm.
tie it around both of your wrists. Or he said sometimes he has if he has purple socks that he's cut and he makes like little like wristbands. I don't know what the significance is, but he says that's what you need to do. I said, okay.
There are some different faiths, different beliefs around the world that red does the same thing. And so you'll see people with like red string bracelets on, and they believe that it's protecting them. And they'll use the word sometimes of spirits or whatever, but it comes down to energy. And purple is the color that you put around a tree for trespassing. Purple, you can put a purple ribbon or purple paint or purple whatever around a
Hmm.
tree.
I didn't know that.
And that's a sign of, maybe that's just down here in Texas stuff, but that's a thing of no trespassing. You're not allowed to go past that boundary. So it's very
Wow.
interesting, isn't it? I think
That
it
is
is.
interesting.
My yoga instructor, because I'm getting certified to be a yoga instructor, which is so funny because
That's incredible.
I didn't even used to like yoga. It was like the biggest waste of my time. I'm like, I'm not burning
I
any
know.
calories. I'm not doing anything,
Same.
and now I love it. But she wears the long necklaces, the long
Yes.
like this. She wears that, and that's because she's dealing with so many people throughout the day, and she wants to serve them and be open to them for what they need, but she can't take on all their stuff.
Hmm.
And so she does that, which I find very interesting. People say, well, that doesn't work. Well, you know what? It works for her.
Hmm.
That's all that matters. She's doing it for her and it works for her. So
Love
I
it.
have been looking at a lot of your social media, and I think it's so interesting. Both of the Facebook groups I find just so very interesting, and I love the comments other women make, and I love the pictures on there of these women just coming together and learning how to, take care of themselves, learning how to serve themselves, and not in any way that would make them overconfident and get themselves in a bad situation, but honestly knowing their limits and stuff. What made you decide to start doing that?
Yeah. So the two Facebook groups that you're referring to, I have one called She's an Asset, and it's situational awareness for women. And then the other one, and I think that might have been how you found me, was the She's an Asset Female Cop Edition. And so, I started out about I've been life coaching professionally for the last 8.5 years. When I was couch ridden, I couldn't do anything, but I needed to do stuff for my head, because it was 6 months of really being in a bad spot, right? That's why I was talking about my rock bottom. So I took my training education experience and I applied it, and I have been coaching first responders and their families for a long time. And about 2021, I realized, wow, there's nobody for women in law enforcement. There's nobody, and there was nobody. And the only influencers were female officers, but they were like bodybuilders, bikini competitors, and beautiful women, but they weren't putting out information about like this is how you survive the job. And so I said, okay, I'm going to start doing that. Not that I ever thought or think like, I had a minute on the road, whatever, 6.5 years. And, I'm like, so rookie, whatever, never thought I was top cop, but I really wasn't about that. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a ton of mistakes. Like and I had to rebuild my reputation. I mean, I made a mistake, like my first 3 months on the job. I got too close to a guy. He took advantage of me. He was married, but all of a sudden I'm the home wrecker and I'm the slut and I'm all these things. And I'm like, I'm 20. I'm like, oh my fuck, this guy's like 40 something, but it's all my fault. And when I tell you that, I mean like the women in the district attorney's office, the women in the DA's office. I mean in the courthouse, like I just everything. And it felt like the whole world came down on me. And I had two options. I actually had a superior sit down with me, a male, and he's like, you have two options. You either need to move and go to a different agency. He's like, I've got friends, we can get you in, or you're going to put your nose to the grind and you are going to rebuild. And he's like, it's going to be hard and you're going to be lonely, but those are your two options. And I put my nose to the grind, and I was lonely and I was outcast and all these things. So and that's just like one mistake. There's plenty more. And I just said, you know what? There's nobody talking to these girls. I want to save some lives. Like I want to save some careers. I want to save some humiliation here. And I want to help women in male dominated industries because they don't understand. There's things that you're not understanding, and nobody's going to tell you this shit because like they can't have the real conversation like legally. Like I'm going to say things to you, right? So that's how I started teaching and coaching female officers. And then, and we can talk a little bit more, about what happened, but essentially in 2022, the internet blew up on me. And I was severely, internet bullied, harassed, and, basically influencers in law enforcement, as well as like literally, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of fake profiles were made, and they were coming after me online, suggesting that I'm a fake, I'm a fraud, I'm faking my back injury. I fucked my whole department. I slept with my lieutenant. Like none of that ever happened. Just saying. That I was never a police officer. I'm an auxiliary police officer. And I don't even know what that is. I don't even know if we have that in Maine. Um, and that I'm preying on women. I'm preying on these female cops, because female officers are damsels in distress, and I'm preying on them somehow. And so that went on for a whole entire year. I mean, to the point where anything I did, I spoke at a first responder conference. These people wouldn't physically get on the phone and talk to um anybody, but they did message, like swarms messaged the conference um founder, and was like, you don't want her on there, she's like just spewing all these lies. They just continued to come at me, trying to ruin my career. And it was really hard. It was really, really hard. My inboxes were flooded, they still are, with women, female officers, just saying, we're watching, and what you're going on online is what I deal with in my agency. And I'm sorry, and I hate this for you, but keep going, keep standing up, because this is what we're dealing with. And so I did, and I still have a full book of clients. I still serve female officers. But in that, I felt like the universe was talking to me, because I have this whole other side of this whole education. I've been in the martial arts since I've been 5. I'm a second-degree black belt. I was a defensive tactics instructor at the police academy. I've been teaching self-defense since I've been 12 years old. I've done all these things. I know how to fight. I know how to make women safe. So part of me just felt like, okay, maybe you're going through this really hard time for you to kind of make a transition. And that's what we've done. She's an Asset was founded through a time where everybody kept telling me I was a liability, right? The internet kept telling me, your female cops are liabilities, women are liabilities, female cops shouldn't be on the road, I shouldn't, all these things. And on my yoga mat, Kimberly, you would appreciate that. I actually used to really hate yoga, but um, my coach and therapist, she put me on to yoga, not the kind for exercise, the kind to actually go in and connect, which is obviously what yoga was designed and developed to do. And I was in such a bad place mentally. I was doing 2-a-days, morning and night yoga with my journal. And that's where She's an Asset. That was where that was founded. And the idea is I want every woman to know that you are the asset. You're the asset in your life, but you have to recognize that, and that we spend the majority of our lives reaching on the outside of us to make us feel better, to fill ourselves up. And that's also why people numb, right? And all these things. And so that's where She's an Asset was born. And honestly, so many women have asked me to teach them situational awareness and self-defense for so long. I said, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. I started it, went out on a whim. It was I just started my first class I ever did was last July in 2023. I was at a hair salon.
Mhm.
And the moment I did that, the company, it's just taken off. And
Right. I
it's
love
kind of, and that's so that's the other group that I have. It's She's an Asset, situational awareness. So
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It's very difficult to hear of the abuse that you took, the bullying that you took, the assault that I mean, some of it was probably criminal. If something criminal probably could have been made of it, but it's awful. But I do like the fact that there are individuals that are able to see it and hear it and recognize that that is what they are going through also, maybe at a lower level, like the whole nation or whatever, but to recognize that and to realize that sometimes we do things that bring unfortunate attention towards ourselves. Sometimes
mhm.
we don't, and it's you'll hear of something happening like, oh, the woman involved is like this whore of the world, And the guy,
Right.
well, he just has it going on, right? You know, and you're like,
Absolutely.
they were both there. It was both of them,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but like you have said, we can learn from it and move on. And
Mm-hmm.
we can also look at what other people have gone through. If
Mm-hmm.
we're honest about it and transparent about it, other women can see, and then we can say, you know, like, that isn't going to go well for me if I try that, if I do that, or whatever. And if they don't pay attention to the warning signs, there's nothing like firsthand experience to open a new path for you. Um, it's funny because I think that the way that I came in contact with you is either Monica in Oklahoma, who is a wellness and fitness coach for first responders, or Jennifer Atherton, who was on the Dallas Police Department, and
I
she
think
has
it was Jennifer.
Jennifer. Okay, I knew it was one of those two. Knew it was one of those two. Yeah. So, and it's kind of neat to know these powerful women around the country and how we can all come together and support each other and learn from each other,
Mm-hmm.
and find some of the common threads of the stories, you know, and that we're women who had, you know, crappy things happen. And we're like, that's not going to define me.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not going to define me. Like I've mentioned before, whenever I teach the you know your value, know your worth, and be debt free, you know, it's because I've made all those mistakes. I
Right.
walked into the car dealer and said, I need my car payment to be this amount. So there's no telling what I paid for the car, actually, you know, or I mean, you could just go on and on and on. The mistakes that we make, not understanding compound interest, not, you know, thinking you got to do this, you got to do that, whatever. And you pay a price for it, you move on and you tell other people, hey, it's going to hurt when you do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So what, when you're teaching your in-person classes, is there anything that has in the last year, is there anything, which congratulations on coming up on your 1 year
Thank you.
anniversary,
Thank you.
but is there a theme, is there something that you are picking up in these groups that makes you think, we need to address this for women? Is there anything that's presenting itself?
You know what's really funny is it's the same across the board. So in 2023, I toured the country and I taught female officers from Maine to California down to Pennsylvania. We traveled, we taught. And the thing is it doesn't matter if they're first responders or if they're civilians. It's the same thing. Women really struggle with confidence that we just do. Okay. And I'm not saying men don't, but I just know it's very prevalent in women. And so it's to say I teach command presence. It's one of my foundational pillars I taught to women in law enforcement because you're just going to get eaten alive. If you do not figure it out fast, you're going to get eaten alive. And I really tried to help a lot of women pre-academy so that the cadre didn't, eat them alive. Um, but it's the same thing, and that's like I had a class last night. I was teaching at another hair salon, funny enough, and beautiful women, but some of them do not have great command presence. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means what you need to know is studies tell us that 50, it's like, I believe it's 54%, like you're being judged 54, I think it's like a 54% of us. I don't have it right on me, Kimberly, to think of it, but it's something along the lines of, I read this last month because I had to present it in front of a school. So I have the stat written down somewhere, but it's like, it's your visual. So you're being judged immediately by what you look like. Okay. Then the next thing after that is what you sound like. And then it's actually what you say, but it's very like nobody really gives a shit about what you say. It's how you look and it's how you say it. And so women tend to head down, not making eye contact, shoulders and arms will be shoulders hunched forward, arms will be crossed. And if they're sitting, their legs are going to be crossed. And when they're talking, they're not talking from their diaphragm. They're talking from their chest. And obviously, we tend to have more quiet voices. We tend to have more of a high pitched voice.
I have a
Well,
very
what
loud voice.
in a very
I wasn't gifted with that soft little
me
girl
neither.
voice. I got
Me
the
neither.
loud voice.
Me too. Oh yeah, believe me. But so it's like how all of that equals easy. you're an easy target for a predator. On the road, as a civilian, doesn't matter. And so, just being able to teach that, like, stand like this, put your shoulders back, put your head up, don't be afraid to make eye contact. This is how we talk. We talk from our diaphragm. I have a whole course. It's a part course. It's $27 for all, like, female first responders. It's to make you street ready. And I dive into this because I learned on the street, probably
You
just
learned
as
the
you
hard
have.
way.
I did. Nobody was like, "Autumn, get your shit together." And that would have saved me a few ass kickings, like, I'm telling you. And it wasn't even the men. It was women on the road.
Right.
They're ruthless.
Yes. Yes. Women. Oh, they're horrible. 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 Especially a drunk woman. Oh my God. So
Oh,
awful.
they
So
fight every
awful.
time. Every time.
So awful. It's like, what is wrong with you? And, I'm like, who puts up with this shit?
That's
I
what I'm saying.
Could you imagine living that way in your home and you're like, oh my God. I mean, yeah, it's just crazy. It's just so now it sounds like we're women bashing. We're really not. It's behavior bashing
It
that
is
we're
behavior
doing. It's
management.
behavior bashing. But it's funny what you say about command presence, because after I retired, I wanted to have a job with plants, right? I either wanted to work with rocks or with plants. But I figured it's too hot and there's too many snakes. I'm getting too old to haul big rocks around at the landscape place. So I got a little job at this really nice plant nursery here. And you wear a t-shirt, you have a name lanyard, you're wearing khaki shorts, your hair's back in a ponytail, you don't have any makeup on. And all I did is I like watered plants, carried mulch out, I cashiered sometimes, and stuff like that. Nowhere close to management. I wanted nothing to do with management. I wanted nothing to do with that. I was tired of making decisions for people. So I would be in the far corner of the nursery watering plants. Somebody would walk into the front. They would walk past both of the managers, the floor manager, the plant manager, the nursery manager, and they would come to me and
Mhm.
ask a question. And I'm like, oh no, no, I am not the manager. You need to go back. They're like, no, no, I want to talk to you. And I was like, I could not get away from it. I cannot tell you how many times I will be someplace and something goes wrong and people will turn to me. And I'm like, I am just a customer. Of course, I help the person, I get them to who they need to go with. But that also, knock on wood, I don't get robbed anytime soon. But you can see the guys in the parking lot approaching people to ask for money. Nobody ever asks me for anything. I'm a kind person, but nobody ever comes and asks me for money. They don't ask to borrow my phone. They don't ask me for directions. They will literally walk up to my car, look at me, and turn and walk away.
Mhm.
And I'm like, man, do I have bitch written all over me? I don't think it is. I think it goes back to that energy
100%.
of being aware, confident,
Mhm.
capable.
100%.
I really
Yeah.
do.
It's It's so much, and there's been a lot of studies and, of predators that talk about this.
Mhm.
And it's the same for all of us. Like, let's just think about it. Do you wanna deal with somebody who's difficult, or do you wanna deal like, if you're a predator, if you're looking to prey on somebody, right? Do you wanna deal with somebody who's difficult, or do you wanna deal with, like, the easy target, the weak person? We all, we're gonna go for the weakest link. That's what predators do. They're not looking at like, "Oh, she looks like she's gonna give me a problem, so I'm gonna go and deal with her." Like, no, you're not. You're gonna go to the woman who's got her headphones on, or her face is in her, cell phone. She's not making eye contact. She looks weak to you and she doesn't have a commanding presence. Yeah, you're gonna go deal with her.
It's really funny because we do this. This sounds really bad, but we do this like we'll go past an officer and I would go, I'd run because they can't run. That guy's not going to catch you. You know
Yep.
what I mean? They're
Mhm.
so overweight. They look like their uniform is I mean, they're like, there's no presence about them at all. Then there's other ones, I mean, they got it going on.
Mhm.
You're like, damn, they're going to give me a ticket for sure. I mean, it's like, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
that, and that's just a joke we've always had. My husband, I'm like, I'd run from her, and there's others where like, oh, whatever they tell me to do, I'm going to do.
Exactly. And it is I know you say you're joking, but honestly, it's even on a subconscious level. We all are doing
Yeah,
it.
it's true.
So, mhm.
Yeah, it's definitely true. So what is the after you teach a class, what is it afterwards? I know you're probably tired because I know you probably put 300% of yourself
Mm.
into it. But what is something that would like spark your joy? Like what after a class, when you think about it, does it make you smile?
Ooh. Well, let me tell you a story. So
Okay.
I just taught, so I volunteer at a local therapeutic horse barn. And she's an asset, led this girls leadership 4-week program. It was completely free, it was by donation only, for girls ages, I don't know, it was like 10 to 14. And the last night was when I gave a presentation to the girls for an hour about situational awareness. A week later, a mom came into me and she said, I have to tell you. She's like, you really like there was a moment and I didn't even think my 10-year-old was listening in your class, but she told me like like her life, and I'll tell you, she almost got hit by a car. She almost got ran over in a crosswalk. But in my training, I tell the girls, and not just like lightly, I pound them over the head with trusting their gut and that their gut never lies. And you need to listen to it. Society is going to tell you otherwise, but you need to continue to listen to that. And so I ended up talking to the daughter, and she's like, you know, Autumn, I was walking into this crosswalk, and a car stopped, and she was telling me to cross. She's like, but I remembered what you said, and everything in me, the hair is standing up on the back of my neck. My stomach was killing me, and just telling, like, I couldn't walk. Well, she goes, literally, I didn't move. And 2 seconds later, a truck came and hit and rear ended the car that was stopped. And she's like, and if I was walking, I would have been hit. And like, so for me, I'm like that was incredible. And so it's like, my foundational class is a 2-hour class for situational awareness. And I literally give them, I mean, there's so much information. So to hear somebody at the end of class be like, this makes sense, or, or to hear a testimonial of like, I listened. Last night when we were teaching at, I was teaching at the beauty salon, and there was actually a female cop. She just got done with the road, and now she's a full-time esthetician. But I was teaching a move, Kimberly, and it was what to do if somebody comes up from behind you and grabs you. And so I showed him this like move, and at the end she has them all in a circle, and all these women highly respect her, right? And she says, I just want you guys to know that that move that we just did is effective. I had to use it in Las Vegas. And she was just talking about, she's like, I got grabbed from behind. I did exactly what Autumn showed you, and it works. And like for me, I was like, that my eyes like kind of started watering a little bit. I'm like, oh, because just to me, I'm like, yes, like we're doing it, we're doing it. We're getting out there. We're teaching women real things, and they're listening. And yeah, I just want to make an impact, man. Just want to save as many lives as I can, because as you know, being on the road, we've had the opportunity to be on all the sides. I've seen victims, I've seen predators, and I've also been on the training side, right? And I was like, man, I just want to save lives.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I love it. And it's like sometimes I'm like, I've stood in front of these people for 7 hours and I don't know if they got a damn thing. And you
Yes.
find out some of them got a lot, and others might have only gotten one thing. Like that little 10-year-old, she might have gotten one thing, might have loved the horses, had a great time, built some confidence, but like one thing really sunk in and potentially saved her life.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially saved her life. I think that is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I think, and this might sound overconfident as an instructor, but I think that sometimes if we're really doing what we believe in, that people get that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might not be able to, like you couldn't, right now on the top of your head, you couldn't give the statistic of the number of
Right.
the percentage, but you knew the feeling of it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You knew the intention of the statement and of what you read. And I think that's something that's a gift that we can give people. And there have been times when I've sat through some classes, like I might have already known what the individual was sharing with me, but I
Yes.
still got something from it because I
Mhm.
got their excitement, I got their vision, I got their lens, which is sometimes a very beautiful thing,
Mhm.
and yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so funny when you said horse, you saw me go, ooh, my ears come forward because that's something that I have been doing for the last year. I was not
Mhm.
raised around horses. I've always wanted to be around horses. And I decided to put it out there. I decided to start telling people I want to spend some time with horses. Honestly, not thinking it was going to happen. And now I am with a horse at least 4 days a week.
Isn't it incredible?
Yes, and I am taking care of a horse and I'm learning groundwork at another ranch, learning how to ride there, all that stuff. And then people send me, because people see me posting all these pictures of me with horses, and they send me these classes that they're aware of. And I go to them. I go to them,
Love it.
and so I'm probably going to end up with something along the lines of an equine therapy assistant, which pretty much just means you make sure the horse doesn't step on them. But still, I am with horses
Mhm.
and serving a population that I want to serve. It's so awesome what's out there. And, honestly, being a cop for 30 years, I never thought about doing any of this stuff.
No.
I just
You look incredible for being a cop for 30 years, by the way.
Sunscreen, sister. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, sunscreen.
Oh
You're
man.
right though, because we do end up looking very old, very,
Stress.
very old, and very, very stressed. And it is, it's very unfortunate. But again,
Hmm.
like you and I talked about earlier, making decisions about food choices and stress choices and energy choices and stuff like that. But I made some unpopular choices. How I would eat and what I would drink and what I wouldn't drink and stuff like that. But yeah, I never wanted to look like that old cop.
Exactly.
I really didn't. I just didn't want, I loved those women and I learned from those women and they paved the way. And I just didn't
Yep.
want to look like that. I
Nope.
just didn't. I didn't want to look, 10, 15 years older than I was. And I didn't want the injuries also. And like you, it's horrific to know that you had such a career-ending, life-altering injury. But we know that all officers, like my husband, being in SWAT for so long and wearing all the gear, but women especially, our vests, the breast health problems that can cause, and then our hip problems from the gun belts and the sitting in the squad cars, all those hours and stuff. Um, Hopefully the ladies that attend
Hmm.
your training realize I need to take care of myself so that I'm
Hmm.
strong enough to do these moves and can actually run if I need to. Like I don't wear high heels. I know high heels are sexy and they're gorgeous, but I don't wear them because I always think I might have to run. And that sounds crazy. That sounds absolutely crazy. But I would have to be able to kick them off or be able to either kick the shoes off or be able to run in them. That's
Hmm.
my rule.
Hmm.
That's my rule. So I'm not that sexy person in those high heels.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
And I know that there's some women who can run in them. So I'm not saying they can't wear them and run. I'm just saying I can't wear them and run. So what is something that you would like women, let's say that the women aren't able to get to one of your classes and they're going to start looking, but they're going to start looking at your stuff. What is something that you would recommend that they do to just kind of start working on themselves, preparing themselves for taking care of themselves?
Yeah, so I mean, there's so much, right? Um, well, we have a free one thing that I've done is all of my clients, my female officers, they came together with me and we put together a free ebook on, building situational awareness like a cop because they just told me different like across the country, everybody just submitted like, different tips and tricks or whatever that they've seen,
Mhm.
the biggest thing for me that obviously the command presence is huge. Teaching a woman how to have command presence. The other thing is, what I teach women, the situational awareness is really how to scan your environment and to avoid danger. And, that to me is the most foundational skill of self-protection and self-defense. So we can all go take a self-defense class and you can learn some moves and it's great and we feel pumped up and it's empowering. But when shit hits the fan, if you're not trained and you haven't done reps, you're not going to do it.
Absolutely.
And exactly. And so for me, I want these classes really are about teaching a foundational skill, but it's also about opening up their eyes. And I just want every woman, I want you to, I don't want you to be afraid, but I want you to be aware of what's going on. And I want you to learn how to avoid some things. So, you know, we go through a whole entire lesson on how to make your house less of a, a less of a target when you're out and about, how to be less of a target when you're driving. Just different things, creating a plan. One of the biggest things I talk about all the time is creating a plan. And if there's anything law enforcement has taught me, it's create a plan. Nothing's going to go according to that plan. But if you have one, then there's less room for chaos.
Yes. Yes. It's easier to go to step 2 if you have step 1. It's easier to go to
Mhm.
plan B if you have plan A. It's easier to go to
Exactly.
plan C if A and B didn't work. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm always shocked when something happens. I'm like, how come you didn't see that coming?
Right.
I don't ask that, but in the back of my mind, and then I'm like, well, that's because they're not as fucked up as we are, and they don't expect the whole world to go wrong. And they don't, I
Mm,
mean, they're still normal people going through life, living, the way they're supposed to live. And it's really funny because I have kind of battled with this, because of what if you have thoughts, your brain doesn't necessarily know, you can start getting the cortisol dump, you can start getting all this stuff dumped. I don't need any more cortisol dumps. I've had enough
yeah.
cortisol dumps, right?
Yeah.
But I'm the Weimaraner just came in, which means it needs
Oh.
some attention. Yeah. So I don't need that, but I still need to be aware of things. I still need to
Mhm.
run the scenarios through my head. And I always tell people, remember back when you took defensive driving all those years ago and they had you scan ahead of you and like you're looking for which car is probably going to come into your lane or what mattress is going to come off the back of a, pickup
100%.
truck or something. It's the same thing in life.
Mhm.
You're like, well, I don't want to go through life scared. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not asking you to go through life scared. I'm asking you to go through life aware.
Exactly.
Why would you walk near that man over there?
Mhm.
Well, I don't want to embarrass him. No, no, no. I'm not saying you don't embarrass him or anything, but you just find a way to walk a little bit more around him. If you have to walk near him, make that non-intrusive eye contact with him, claim your space, and keep going.
Mhm.
But they're like, oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I need to go to that door there. I'm like, holy shit.
Well, and the other thing, we talked about this last night as well, is why do we as women feel like every person who talks to us, every male who talks to us, we have to talk back? We don't, and I go on this whole spiel about being kind versus being nice. You can be kind, which is respectful.
Absolutely.
You do not need to be nice, which is overstepping your boundaries. You need to be very well aware, and that's another whole thing. So as you can tell, my classes really are so much more than just situational awareness based because they really are empowerment based, mindset based because it's all imperative.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, the moves are only going to get you so far. It's so much more, but setting boundaries and being very clear on what your boundaries are ahead of time right now. Like what are they when you're going out? And like what you just said, well, I don't want to make that person feel bad. Oh, so now all of a sudden we're responsible for how everybody feels?
Yep.
Absolutely not. We're not. We're only responsible for how we feel.
And as a mother of boys, so both my boys are grown men. My oldest is 31. He's getting married in September, and my baby is 29, and he's been married for 5 years, married his high school sweetheart. But as
Oh.
a mother of boys, if they were on the market, which they're not, but I would rather, if they went up and spoke to a young woman, I would rather that young woman look at them and very respectfully say, I'm really not interested, or I don't have time for this conversation. Thank you so much. And walk away, as opposed to talking to them when they don't want to talk to them, or being obviously disrespectful and rude. You can just very easily say, hey, personally, I bartended and cocktailed. I had to be nice to get the tips. So I
Mhm.
understood the boundaries, how to be friendly enough to be professional, to still earn your money and then, have that line there. But there were some times when I would look at somebody and I would say, I don't have time to serve you tonight.
Mhm.
And if they don't understand that, then they're the predator.
Mhm.
So normal man would be like, oh, I'm sorry. And I would go, it's okay, thank you. Let's put you over in this section, you
Mhm.
know. But the predators were the ones who wanted to keep going and going and
Absolutely.
raise their hand. The bouncer or the manager would come over and get them. I
Mhm.
learned that at 19 in Lubbock.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a skill. I think everybody should have to work a restaurant at least once.
I did that for 5 years, and I'll tell you that was pre being a cop, and it set me up very well.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? It
It does.
sure does. It sure does. But okay, I know that there's so much more about you that I did not hit on today. Is there anything else that you want to share? And I would love to have another conversation with you sometime.
Yeah,
Um,
thank
Later
you.
on, we'll do it again. But is there anything that you would like to share with the women?
I think the biggest thing really, right, is I hope that hearing just a little bit of my story, I want you to know that I just want you to know that no matter what you're going through, it seems like you're the only one. It seems like your world is falling down. It seems like everybody's mad at you or you're the one being singled out. And I'm not saying that's not happening. I just want to say that, but I want you to know that there's a whole slew of women who are just like you. And I'm one of them. And you can keep going and you can change. The other thing I would like to just leave with every woman here is never be afraid to pivot. I am the queen. My husband says this all the time. I am the queen of pivoting. If it is not working and if it feels excruciating, no, there's a difference. Like it's not that I don't work hard, right?
Mhm.
But if I'm literally like if it's really, really, really bad and it is sucking my soul, I'm not going to stick around for that. And I will tell you, there's one woman, she's a police officer in Maine, and I'm not gonna name her name, but she's somebody who I really highly respect. She's a veteran officer, and she does not stick around at she's worked for so many different agencies, and some people will shit on her, but it's just because she's like, "I'm not under anybody's thumb. I'm not gonna be controlled. You're gonna let me do what I'm here to do, or I'm out." And you know what? She's happy. She's
Yeah.
happy. And that's the thing. And I'm just going to leave it at this is you are meant to be happy. You are meant to live a life you love. You do not need to suffer. And you do not need to do anything because you out of obligation or all these things. Don't be stuck. Pivot, move, and be happy.
Amen, sister. Absolutely. And we could go on a whole nother time about the story that we tell ourselves while we have to stay stuck. And I'm like, is that true? I mean, is that really true? Like, I fucking hate blah, blah. I'm like, why are you still there? You're going to do this job for 20 more years and you hate it? Why? Well, I've got bills to pay. There are other people who can do direct deposit into your account. You know,
100%.
and I'm like, they're like, man, you're cold, you're cruel, you're hard. I'm like, but you hired me because you like that I'm direct, right? I mean, cut through that crap. But you're right, pivot. I love that word. I love that action. When I think of some of the things in the past that I fought and fought and fought and fought, I'm like, why? I mean, how many signs did I have to get that it wasn't supposed to be?
Uh-huh.
That
Mhm.
it wasn't going to serve me or it wasn't going to serve somebody else. So,
Mhm.
okay. How do people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at She's an Asset anywhere. So she's an asset.com. She's an asset. I have a page on Facebook. I have two Facebook groups, one for female first responders, or if you want to become one. I have one for situational awareness. TikTok's the same thing. Instagram's the same thing. You can find me at the Autumn Clifford on Instagram as well. And if you girls need, if anybody listening to this needs anything, you can always email me, autumn@autumnclifford.com.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you for offering that assistance to the ladies out there. We've got to help each other, and we just have to help each other. And for anybody watching this whole entire thing and who doesn't know who I am, Kimberly Stratman. I'm To the Point retirement coach, To the Point life coach. I serve first responders. I have really taken the business to serve women also. It's just something I felt called over the last year to do. I help female first responders and officers going towards retirement and their families. And I'm looking to build my yoga business on serving the first responder world also. I just I wanted to be done with that community, but I'm not. I'm still very much inside of that. I will have our contact information in the notes after following the video. But here is the big question, my young Miss Beautiful Autumn. And this is the one that my husband likes me to ask all of the guests, and that is, how would you like to be remembered?
Yeah, thank you for asking me that. And the answer is somebody who gives a shit. Like I really I care deeply about every person listening to this. I care about you being happy and living your best life. And it's not cliche. It's because I have been at rock bottom. I have been there multiple times in my life. I know what it's like to feel like you can't get out of your own way. I know what it feels like to feel like everybody hates you and you're the outcast and you're this and you're that. And I just feel like life is too short. And that's literally why I put myself out. Like, cause I'll be straight. This whole social media thing, I just, after the online bullying, I really pulled back a ton. I don't really want to do it, but I do it for the women. I do it for the young girls. I do it for the women who were and are like me and need somebody to see that they need to keep going.
I love that you do it with joy. I love that you do it with love. I love that you do it with kindness. And I love that you do all of that with strength behind it.
Thank
And you could actually be my daughter age-wise, right? I mean, you could be my daughter. And I would be so proud of you if you were.
you.
But you could
Thank
be
you.
my daughter. And I just love it. And I like the fact that you do this in a way that I could learn from you.
Well, thank
It's
you.
even me being significantly older, I could learn from you in this world. I love that we have women like you out here serving other women. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that. And I hope everybody gets a chance to go to one of the appropriate page for them, or the TikTok, the Instagram, and stuff like that. I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we will get this all up so people can watch it. And hopefully they will take advantage of your ebook that you said that you and some other ladies have put together. So that's a huge thing. And then I think they can just learn a lot from your posts.
Well,
So,
thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate it. It's a really honor to be here with you. And I super appreciate you asking me to be here.
yes, thanks so much.